Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me again today. Today we are covering another Halloween look. This one is kind of between a cheetah and a leopard. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So first, as usual, we're gonna make sure we go in with the MAC's Fix Plus and the Professionals Minimizing Cream and go ahead and correct our under eye circles with the LA Girls Pro Conceal Orange Concealer. Then we're going to use a beauty blender, a damp beauty blender, and go ahead and blend out those under eyes. Then we're going to go in with the Sephora concealer. You can use whatever concealer you choose. I've really been loving this one compared to the MAC Pro Longwear, so I go ahead and blend that out underneath as well. Then I go in with a MAC Pro Longwear Waterproof Foundation because, especially if this is a Halloween look, you want your foundation to last and be a great base for everything else you're going to throw on top. So I just use a flat top kabuki brush to go ahead and blend everything in. Next, I'm using a dark contour color by LA Girls, and I'm just going to make an X across the forehead for our cheetah look. And for this, we want really defined dark lines. Don't worry too much about blending these out. If it looks harsh, you're doing it right. So go ahead and throw all the dark on, throw your highlight on onto your cheekbones, your chin, your jawline, your nose, around the nose. Be careful to make sure you get in and around the nose and underneath the nose and upper lip area and onto the corners of the forehead. Also, don't forget the lips. Then we're going to use that same damp beauty blender and blend everything out. Remember to go ahead and start with the light colors first. Go ahead and blend those out, then go in and blend in with your dark. As you're blending, make sure that you're not overlapping too much because then you get this muddied effect and you want your cheekbones to look very chiseled and sharp for this look. If you feel like you didn't put enough contour on, go ahead and add that balance of whatever you need, a little bit dark, a little bit light, whatever works best for you. And make sure to leave the middle portion of your head a little bit darker, and also make sure you run the contour down the sides of your throat to elongate the throat and also make it look a little bit more contoured. Then I'm going to go ahead and use a powder brush and go ahead and set my entire face. Here I just use the MAC Pro Longwear foundation in the shade NC35 just to give myself a general mattified look. Next, I'm using a combination of the Ben Nye and Airspun powder to go ahead and set and bake the under eye area. We want a very heavily highlighted look. And again, I'm using that damp beauty blender to go ahead and pick up that light powder. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure I use it on both sides of my forehead and over the top of my nose to give it a little bit more of that cheetah leopard kind of dimension on my face. Make sure you pull that powder all the way down underneath the nose, on top of the lips, and then also around the jawline. Also, don't forget your neck right down the center. And I'm going to go ahead and speed through filling in my brows here. Nothing crazy, just the usual. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in one, and we're going to zip through the second one and onto the eyeshadow. And onto the contour. First, I'm going to use the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, the second two shades on the right, and we're going to make sure we put that all the way around those edges we want to be heavily contoured. We're almost essentially baking our contour in. So I did the sides of my throat, the sides of my nose, the sides of my cheeks, and I'm just going ahead and very gently buffing it out just to make sure I still have that contour there and it's very sharp, but also that it's sharp enough that it doesn't look like it's just been applied and we didn't really do anything with it. Then, very carefully, we're going to go ahead and take off all the bakage and make sure we're using flicking motions to kind of buff and wipe it away. And then if it feels like the highlight kind of got blended into the whole look, go ahead and add a little bit more. If you feel like things are a little bit darker and lighter, you can always go in and change that up a little bit, but just always making sure the center is just a little bit darker. Next, we're going in with a MAC Painterly Paint Pot. I'm going to use this as a base on top of everything else we've done to kind of make our white eyeshadow that we're going to use, help it stand out around the mouth, around the nose, and underneath our eyes when we create that cat eye effect. And I'm going to go ahead and use this on my eyelids also to prime my eyelids. And notice I'm going to pull this all the way up underneath my eyebrows to make it more uniform. And I'm also going to pull this down a little bit later on right here. And I'm going to pull it down next to where our contour went. Then for the under eye area, I'm going to start as if I'm making a bottom wing liner, bring it all the way back from the tip of my eyebrow's tail and pull that all the way into the inner corner of my eye. And then using that same edge, I'm going to pull it in towards the top of my nostril. And you can do this any way, shape, or form as long as you end up symmetrical on both sides. So again, you have to play with this look a little bit, allot yourself a little extra time to adjust this look, add in a little bit more powder, fix a couple of things, which we'll do a little bit later. Now we're going to go in with a Morphe palette, and we're just going to take the lightest shade of white they have and set that MAC Painterly Paint Pot base to make sure it stays put all night. And then I'm going to use the same powder just around the edges of my mouth and onto the lips as well. Now, if you notice that your shape doesn't look exactly the way that you want, no worries, take a look at it. And I like to use my eyeshadow brush and kind of measure where my eyeballs kind of sit and use that to center the look around my mouth. And then you can go ahead and use your foundation brush and go ahead and make sure that you can buff out those areas that might not be as sharp as you like. Then I'm going to go ahead and set my eyelids with the same white colored shade. You can use a neutral shade for this too. Nothing specific for colors here. Now I'm going in with the shade Chickadee by Makeup Geek to go ahead and warm up that crease. Again, we're going to use that crease a little bit higher. My eyelids are a little bit hooded, so I tend to pull that crease up higher. We're going to use the shade Cocoa Bear next to go ahead and warm up that crease just a little bit more and create dimension. Because this is a cheetah, leopard, cat eye look, we want this to be a dramatic eye. Next, we're going in with the shade Bitten, also by Makeup Geek. And if you've been watching any of my other videos, these are my 3 staple eyeshadows. Throwing that into the crease as well. Now, Americano is going to be our shade that gives us dimension in the eye. I'm using a MAC 214 here, I believe, a fluffy blending brush. And I'm just blending that out into the corners and pulling it into the crease a little bit. And I'm just going to blend that crease out as much as I can, only in the outer corner. Next, we're going in with the Makeup Geek Shadow Flamethrower and adding that in there. It's a really pretty orangey, sparkly color, but it's also very, very shimmery. It's actually more shimmery than it is glittery. And then I'm just going back and forth with that same blending brush on the corner. I'm kind of using a darker shade out of the Kat Von D palette where it's almost a black, but it's not a matte black because I want this to be a little bit more smoky. So I'm kind of playing with that in the corner a little bit through the crease, just very softly, and building it up on the inner corner. Then we're going to take our basic Kat Von D liner and line those eyes and make sure you make a very dramatic wing. You can use the white part of the face paint to be the guide for where your eyeliner should go. Then we're using a gel eyeliner to create a little bit of a mouth, and we're going to use that to kind of create a little bit of the indentation where your whiskers would normally come out of. And we're going to use that to also make our spots. The spots tend to get bigger as we go outwards from the top of the lip out towards the cheek. So just making sure, again, play with this look. Make sure you kind of go back and forth, take a look close up, take a look far away in the mirror. Next, we're going to further elongate the tails so that we can go ahead and make a more cut shape underneath where that white eyeshadow has been placed to kind of create that cheetah looking effect. Then we're gonna go in with the shade Chickadee and make dots all over our face. No joke, think more polka dots, chicken pox, that kind of a pattern. So keep them close together, but I would tell you, go ahead and keep a little bit of space where your cheekbones would be, because we're gonna go back in and contour that in a second. So really get those spots all over, get them nice and dense. Then we're gonna go ahead and contour our cheeks to make this again a more chiseled look, because this is not at all any bit natural. Now I'm going to use that same eyeliner, and I'm going to go ahead, and I believe this is actually the MAC waterproof eyeliner. We're going to use that to kind of create the edges around our spots. So don't worry about it looking completely perfect. Just kind of follow wherever the tip of the felt tip liner is going. And then feel free to add in a few more if you feel like you need it. I didn't necessarily color these. And then I'm going to use that same Kat Von D black eyeshadow, and I'm going to go ahead and fill in the space around my nose and actually bring it up a little bit higher towards the end of the video. You want it to be pretty much the last quarter chunk of your nose. Then we're going to take that same gel eyeliner, line the bottom part of our eyes, and we're going to bring the inner corner down for that cat eye look. So far, so good. All right, now for the glam look in this, we're gonna go ahead and throw on some false eyelashes. These are by Ardell. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just line the under eyes just with a little bit of that Cocoa Bear. And that's it. This look doesn't take that much effort. You don't have to be an artist, but it does take a little bit of time. You just need to make sure that you set aside a little bit of time to play with this a little bit, have your makeup remover on hand, and all you need is really like a yellow shirt, maybe some jeans and blazer, and you can be a very glamorous looking cheetah. I hope you enjoyed this look. Please let me know if you have any comments below, and leave any questions or any future requests that you would like for me to make a video on. Thanks for joining me, and don't forget to subscribe.